Death is a natural part of a game's life cycle. Even those released to critical acclaim and financial success cannot ride that wave forever, and eventually their loving player bases will wither, moving on to new things in the breakneck release schedules of the modern gaming industry. But there are some games that defy this, revived by their communities and going against nature to live on, defying the inevitability of their quiet and timely death. Titanfall 2 is one of those games. Titanfall 2 is one of the most well-acclaimed FPS titles of the decade, if not of all time. Respawn Entertainment's careful mix of precise gunplay and high-octane movement ensured it stood out amongst its more grounded competition, boasting the rarely achieved combination of both a stellar campaign and electrifying multiplayer portions. The title released to great critical success, though commercially it did not quite reach publisher EA's hopes. This was likely due to its release date of October 28, 2016, being squeezed between the two biggest FPS releases of the year, Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, hampering its chances of being a true blockbuster title from the start. Regardless, Respawn continued with impressive post-launch support, adding new maps, weapons, factions, game modes, and even a brand new Titan, all for free, with the only paid content being a few cosmetics. This support lasted until December 2017, with the Operation Endeavour update releasing as the end of Titanfall 2's post-launch content, presumably as Respawn moved to focus entirely on their then-upcoming smash hit, Apex Legends. Despite the inevitable end of developer support, Titanfall 2 continued to prove popular and remain active for the following years, with the player base dwindling slightly as players moved on to other games, but never coming close to the dreaded label of a dead game. Even while Apex Legends was enjoying its meteoric, seemingly never-ending rise in popularity, Titanfall 2 remained humbly alive and well, with dedicated players sticking with their favourite game, and frequent influxes of new players upon sales. A sudden Steam release in June 2020 boosted this even further, bringing an entire storefront's worth of players who perhaps weren't fond of Origin. This culminated in the fan-organised Titanfall Day on May 1st, 2021, which saw the game hit record numbers of over 50k players across all platforms. However, these good times could not last forever. In the spring of 2021, distributed denial of service attacks, or DDoS attacks for short, began to affect the game's servers on all platforms, with players finding their client had randomly frozen before being suddenly disconnected and kicked back to the main menu. Worried and confused, players took to social media to share their issues, and found that other players were suffering just the same. What made this issue particularly concerning was how familiar it likely sounded to fans of the original Titanfall. The fate of Titanfall 1 had been ostensibly set in stone for a long time, as its servers had been relentlessly griefed by a small sect of hackers who made the game almost, if not entirely unplayable, running scripts to kick players to the main menu. Titanfall 1's issues had never been resolved by Respawn, seemingly leaving the game to die in an unplayable, decrepit state. An apparent ray of hope appeared in April, with Respawn promising help is on the way regarding both games, but nothing materialised. Titanfall fans were keenly aware of this previous death, as well as the cancellation of Titanfall Online, Respawn's ditched effort at a free-to-play title. Keep that in mind for later. Bearing a valid fear of Titanfall 2 suffering a similar fate, the future of Titanfall looked grim. Respawn promised once again that they were investigating the ongoing attacks as they intensified, but once more, no actual fix arose from this claim. With this in mind, let's get into some details on these hackers. Much of this information is sourced from Luke Winke's master document on the matter over on IGN, so I give great thanks to them for collating this fractured tale so concisely. And so begins a story full of some absolutely Shakespearean heroes and villains, character development, and plot twists. The originator of these attacks seemed to be a hacker going by Yu, a no-name in the community due to their responsibility in taking down Titanfall 1's servers previously. Yu targeted specific streamers before appearing in their Twitch chat to gloat of taking down another victim. Once added to this blacklist by Yu, as many streamers and later regular players would find themselves, they would be immediately kicked from any and all matches they joined.
Ah, wow, Gino, you know what? You're so generous for the follow. Okay, so for context, I've just pissed off the guy that's DDoSing everyone, and now he's gonna blacklist me.
This is where P0358 comes in, another hacker who claimed to be White Hat, just trying to make the game playable again and fight Yu, seeing himself as the light against their darkness, so to speak. P0 purported that the fuel of Yu's actions was bitterness, using aimbot cheats to offset their poor skill after being beaten down in matches online, eventually leading up to the blacklisting as an act of revenge against the Titanfall community. Amidst all this, P0 continued to emphasize that he could make Titanfall playable again all by himself if Respawn would just give him the chance, even publishing his manifesto in a Medium article titled "How to Fix Titanfall." Confidence was in no short supply for P0, and there seemed to finally be clear sides of good and evil taking shape amongst this disaster. Of course, it could never be that simple. Ever in the spotlight, Apex Legends was the next game to face hacking, becoming similarly unplayable in July of 2021. Unlike Titanfall 2's malicious shutdowns, however, there seemed to be some well-intentioned activism protesting Respawn. Plastered all over the game's UI, especially over the play button which blocked players from even trying to join lobbies, was one URL, savetitanfall.com. The site detailed the specific issues with Titanfall servers and offered some well-meaning advice on how to fix them. Soon after, the creators of Save Titanfall also offered a document called Operation Red Tape, which we'll get to in a moment. Considering Apex's dramatically different size and player base, word spread like wildfire and the story was picked up by gaming outlets everywhere. Evidently, whoever had hacked Apex had done so to spread awareness of Titanfall's issues and force Respawn's hand, shutting down their moneymaker with intent similar to ransomware, but rather than the usual demands for money, these hackers wanted something more valuable: their beloved games working again. So who was this powerful, grey hat hacker holding Apex to ransom and demanding Titanfall 2's life? According to Operation Red Tape, our good friend and apparent white hat hacker P0 was actually responsible, alongside other members of the Titanfall 1-centric Remnant Fleet Discord server, Dogecore, Mr. Steak, and Red Shield. Red Tape alleged, with apparent screenshot evidence, that these parties were responsible for Apex's ransom, had actually been DDoSing streamers themselves, and were trying to obtain the source code of Titanfall 1 and kill the existing games for their own means, reviving the long-dead Titanfall Online and taking control of the servers with their own iron grip. Have we finally found our villains? Well, yes and no. With this last twist, we are definitively coming to the end of this spiraling tale. In October, P0 and the others accused posted their own response document, cutting through the red tape. This took note of all the evidence posted in the original red tape document, added necessary context to make sense of screenshots that looked malicious out of context, and offer large amounts of counter-evidence exonerating themselves. Here, P0 laid to rest the accusations that he and Red Shield had any involvement in the Apex ransom, while also clarifying that yes, Dogecore and Mr. Steak were indeed responsible for it. The allegation that this was all an elaborate plan to kill Titanfall 1 and 2 in order to revive Titanfall Online for their own gain is also shot down as completely false. The files are already freely available online, and no stolen source code is needed to build it. That's not to say P0 and other members weren't working on reviving Titanfall Online, but that it was instead a passion project already in the works, not the end goal of a ransomware attack. Most strangely of all, the document reveals that one of the original Red Tape's authors, Wanty, was actually collaborating with Dogecore on keeping Apex down, deliberately working against Respawn for the greater good. With this complex tale of deceit and double-crossing behind us, where does Titanfall stand? We now know who was responsible for the long-standing hacking saga affecting Respawn's titles, but what does it mean for the rest of the player base itself who just want to play Titanfall? Well, Jianyu themselves seem to have stopped, with streamers no longer targeted and no gloating messages appearing in either Twitch or in-game chat. Despite this, server issues continue to rupture Titanfall 2, with Respawn not opting to investigate and repair as they did with Apex very soon after its own hack. A response that is somewhat understandable from their perspective financially, as only one title was making them any profit. Worst of all, Respawn announced in December that the original Titanfall was to be pulled from sale entirely on March 1st, 2022, choosing to entirely amputate its long-dead limb rather than waste time and money reviving it for only a tiny, niche player base. Titanfall 2, however, is living on. How, you ask? Northstar, developed by a team of dedicated Titanfall modders including P0, is a fan-made PC custom client running private servers separate to EA's proprietary servers, first released to the public on GitHub on December 24th, 2021. In development for around a year and helmed by Bob the Bob, the project aimed to bypass the original servers by instead hooking into the server.dll that the game uses for its campaign. Easily installed using only a simple zip file and compatible with both Origin and Steam, the mod allows players to create their own servers with both vanilla and custom content, as well as, most crucially, making it almost impossible for bad actors to use server vulnerabilities to render the game unplayable, as the private nature of these servers means they cannot be accessed like EA's could previously. Northstar's use of an accessible server browser, rather than the original game's hidden matchmaking feature, also means players can choose to join customized servers at their preference. 24/7 servers running only one map, New custom modes such as the FPS classic gun game and fastball, which seeds the campaign's beloved bot BT, toss you into the battlefield, and even randomizers, which create a hilarious battlefield of pilots with completely oversized and overpowered Titan weapons. Despite originally launching without the capability of running AI-based modes such as attrition and bounty hunt due to difficulty implementing them, May 1st, 2022 saw the re-edition of these fan-favourite modes, offering fans the complete Titanfall 2 experience. The addition of a server browser also has a neat side effect: the birth of new sub-communities in the player base. As the game has had a low player base for a while, it was very common to see at least one name you recognised in every match, even while joining servers through the hidden matchmaking system, building small friendships with your fellow diehard fans. Now, players can set up and join servers that they know their friends will be playing in, and create a community with gameplay preferences to suit their taste, somewhat like the guild system of older games, encouraging the revitalization of this new communal aspect even more. This is only the beginning too, as Northstar's nature as a flexible modding platform means more completely new content can be added, such as custom skins and even more modes brand new to the series. The overwhelming positive reception to Northstar from the community cannot be overstated, with players overjoyed to finally be able to hop into their favourite title, without a shadow of fear of being kicked or blacklisted, let alone to enjoy the brand new content Northstar has added after years of the game's stagnant, updateless existence. With the help of Northstar, the game's been enjoying a large and steady player base even 6 years after release, with no end in sight as Northstar has consistently updated and improved. The creators of R5 Reloaded, a similar mod running custom servers in Apex Legends, stated last year that titles running on similar closed structures to Titanfall and Apex don't last very long after the title has been discontinued. However, if mods and custom servers are introduced for a title, either officially or by the community, they will still be playable even after the official servers have been shut down permanently. Considering Respawn's lack of comment on Titanfall recently, and the fact R5 Reloaded is still up and running, it seems they're happy for the client to keep running, even after their own servers go dark. Northstar, and Titanfall 2 by proxy, is here to stay. Northstar is the best thing to ever happen to Titanfall 2. While the path leading to it was tumultuous and full of twists and turns, it has allowed the community to come together and bring the game back from the brink, embracing its new and improved life with celebration. Despite everything, Titanfall 2 will not die. Its community won't allow it. Thank you for watching, and a massive thank you to the Overlode team for giving me this opportunity and helping along the way. Titanfall 2 is a very important game to me, and it's been amazing to delve so deep into its history here. If you like this video, you can find more video essays just like it on my YouTube channel, HazzaHazzaHazza. Hope to see you there, and thank you again.